Share with you a little bit about the TGI Friday story. I really stand here today representing all the men and women down the street, my teams that really made what you're about to see come to life. This journey that we're on, as you can imagine, was not a technology journey. Everything that we do is business focused, and everything we do starts and stops through the lens of our guests, right? There's nothing that you can do at the end of the day that if it doesn't drive one more visit, one more cocktail, one more burger, it doesn't matter, right? Doing technology for technology's sake is a losing proposition. People will stop giving you money, right? There has to be an ROI. So as we went through this, I'm going to start laying out that journey that we took and how we really went step by step to really create a very different way that guests think about Fridays, and hopefully many of you will when you think about our brand going forward. So a little bit about me. I did start out as the CIO way back when. I was an engineering student in Boston, aerospace engineering though, so I learned how to make things fly, not sell ribs. And so it's been an interesting transition, but you know, really going from, again, from a technology perspective to technology enables, especially for B2C type industries, the guest experience, right? So my mission now is to every CIO in the room or every CIO that's out there, we need to change your title because you're not just supporting technology, you're supporting a business and you're supporting your guests or your consumers in whatever business that you happen to operate. So a little bit about Fridays. I think all of you know who Fridays is, but we're 50 plus years in operation. Our first restaurant in Manhattan. Our founder wanted to pick up flight attendants. It's not a joke, it's real. There was no good place to pick up single young women in New York. Back in 1965, there was just house parties, and he didn't get invited to a lot of house parties, so he created a safe environment for groups of young single women to come out and have a drink together. Basically the first singles bar. And it grew from there. We now have 900 restaurants in 60 countries around the world, about half of them here in the United States. We serve a little over 500,000 people each and every day. So for all the data geeks out there, that's a lot of data that we're able to capture, and I'll show you in a minute how we use that. We are heavily franchised, so we have great franchise partners, both here domestically as well as international, and we continue to grow. So every year we add about somewhere between 30 to 35 restaurants each year. We just opened the last three were in, let's see, Copenhagen, Brazil, and Brisbane, Australia. So those are the last three to open, and we've got a new one coming in Chicago here shortly. So I'm a big fan of a picture's worth 1,000 words. So I'm gonna, before I start really getting into the nuts and bolts, I wanna share with you a video. This is a video that we created to really help people understand the journey. Primarily, the first audience was my board, right? I had to get a bunch of folks that didn't understand what we were talking about in words to really understand what this journey was going to be like. And I'm happy to say that everything you're about to see is mostly implemented. There's a few things we're still tweaking, but this will give you a picture of what I'm talking about when I talk about utilizing technology, not for technology's sake, but from a guest experience perspective. And I'll touch upon here in the slides that follow how we utilize some of the latest technologies around AI and machine learning to really drive what you're seeing at scale. And that'll be the key. I could do this with people behind computers if I was dealing with 10 people. But remember, I'm serving 500,000 every day. Oh, now there's no sound. All right, let me talk you through the video. So, a guest wants to be able to touch Fridays any way they know how, at any time. So how do we create that experience, right? Well, if you're just walking along, let's say around lunchtime, you may get a very personalized text message from us that says, would you like to reserve a table? And we'll give you a little bit of extra points because you're a rewards member. Well, you're able to reserve that table on the app, and then you're also able to reserve that table and share it with the friends that you want to join you, right? So Dan here is sending it to his friends. We're going to go see a movie, so I'm going to be able to buy my movie tickets right through my app, and then send that to my friends. And then also, I want to make sure I'm out, so I'm pre-ordering what my first appetizers and drinks are before I ever get there. I send that to my friends, and I send it to the restaurant that says, I got to move this along because I got to go to a movie by 7:30. As soon as I get there, everyone knows I'm there. Geolocated, the hostess, the server, and the manager knows I've entered the building. Dan sits down with his friends, and guess what? Everything he pre-ordered comes right to the table. We're moving his process along. We know he's in a hurry, right? We also then allowed Dan to give us immediate feedback and hopefully post about that experience on his favorite social media platform. Biggest pain point, I'm waiting for my second drink and I can't find my server. No worries, you can do it from your app. Buy the second drink, and then, again, second biggest pain point, waiting for a check to pay. No problem, do it from the app. Pay, leave, and then rate the experience. And then again, the management team sees that you had a good time, is alerted in real time, and comes and says thank you. Next day, Dan's sitting at his office again. Dan, how about some lunch? We know you missed us. One click, put the thumb down, and guess what? Dan's food arrives, hot and ready for lunch. Now, sometimes you want to go out, you want to get out of the office. Well, we know where you are, and when you get to the restaurant in the parking lot, we'll bring your food to you. Connected. Think about that guest experience versus the one you had last time when you were ordering food, or the last time you went to a casual dining restaurant. That engenders loyalty. That engenders connection. That creates a personalized touch between restaurant and consumer. All those people you saw in there, it's my social media team. They had a blast making that video. They have the best job in the world. Millennials sitting behind computer screens on social media all day long, and they get paid for it. Yeah. So I want that job. So the thing that you have to understand that we're dealing with here, again, is that when we talk about any consumer brand putting out an app, well, I need an app. I need a bot. Well, guess what? There's millions of them, right? And all of you are very protective of what you put on your phones, right? So by show of hands, how many have Uber or Lyft on their phones right now? Very good. How many have a single airline, hotel app on their phone? Lots. Okay. How many now have the Panera app on their phone? And Panera's got one of the most utilized apps in fast casual. How many have a casual dining brand app on their phone? Oh, the few, the proud. How many have the Fridays app on their phone? Hey! Buy that man a pecan-crusted chicken sandwich. There we go. All right, so as you can see, it's very hard to get on someone's phone. Very hard to stay on someone's phone. So we have to create these opportunities. We have to create share of mind capabilities that a consumer is not only going to download my app and interact with me, but continue to interact with me over time. That I earn that right to stay share of mind, not just share of stomach. Right? So I have to build these capabilities. I have to create an understanding on what is my guest looking for that allows me the privilege of being on their device. Well, I've got to make it useful. I've got to make it convenient. I've got to make it relevant. Right? If I'm not any of those things, I'm gone. Now, I'm happy to say that there's last time I checked, 9 million people with our app. Okay? Not bad. Not horrible. 4.9 million people, about 2 million of them use us every month. So a pretty good regular kind of, I'm not at Starbucks level, right? They have 15 million people with their app. Bastards. But I'll get there. We'll get there. right? But the key is I have to understand what my consumers want next, right? I have to continue to innovate and continue to create an opportunity for me and my brand to engage with them. So how do I do that? I have to look, as I mentioned during that video, at where some of the pain points are, right? And some of the pain points are, if you, all of you get emails and text messages from brands, right? And how many of the vegetarians out there, right, will get something that has a burger or ribs, right? Unsubscribe, gone, delist, right? You don't know me. You're sending me something with meat and I'm a vegetarian. You've lost me forever, right? We have to stop treating everyone the same. We have to stop even treating different generations the same. People say, well, are you targeting millennials? Well, yeah, I target everyone with a stomach, right? That doesn't mean that I'm doing something different for a millennial than a boomer. I need to do something different for Susan versus Mary. Because while they may both be 32 years old with 2 kids living in Plano, they don't associate themselves as that demographic. They associate themselves as Susan or Mary. Very different things, very different profiles, very different eating habits, right? And so I need to understand who they are and treat them as an individual guest. I also need to understand the interactions they want to have with me regardless of where they are, right? As a guest, you all have occasions where you want to go out, right? You're ready to go spend some time at happy hour, drink with your friends. Other times, you want to sit and watch TV and have food delivered to your doorstep and not get out of your pajamas, right? Both food and beverage occasions, but 2 very different ways you want to interact with a brand. So I have to be able to personalize those different paths, those different customer journeys based on how and where you want to consume food and beverage, right? I have to be specific. And then I have to understand, how do I create the right experience so that you're always thinking about Fridays, whether you're sitting in your pajamas or whether you're in our restaurant? How do I create something that's unique and differentiated that, again, generates loyalty, right? These are the things we have to continue to figure out. And technology allows us to do fun things, right? So as you saw on the screen, the 2 biggest things, as I mentioned, the 2 biggest pain points for any guest in a restaurant: I finished my first drink and I want my second one, right? Well, sure, order it yourself when you're ready, right? That's not brain surgery, right? That makes sense. That makes sense for everybody, right? Because you get your second drink. I get a 90% margin second product that you just ordered. Happy, right? And the waiters and waitresses make extra tip, right? Everyone makes off like bandits here because we solved one of the pain points, right? Similarly, second biggest pain point, you're waiting for your check. You're done. You want to leave, right? Well, pay for it on your phone, right? Now, again, benefit for the guest, benefit for the restaurant because we can turn the tables faster, right? Big deal for us is throughput, right? But I can get you out. I don't want you to stay and order, but if when you're done, I want to use the table for somebody else, right? How do I speed that process up using technology? I now can do that. Now, the next piece, though, is I got to engage with people kind of where they are anytime they're thinking about a food and beverage occasion, right? So sometimes you're in your car, right? You may be driving home from soccer practice. You may be on a road trip. You may be thinking about what are we going to do tonight for dinner. Wherever that is, I have to be there, right? Now, I don't want people texting on their phones, right? I'll get you drunk, but I don't want to get you killed in your car, right? So I have to connect with you where you are. So I connect with you, for instance, on OnStar or on other voice-activated devices. So right now, if you're in any one of the millions of GM vehicles with OnStar, you can talk to Fridays. You can make a reservation. You can see where the closest Friday is on your path, right? I'm going to be there when you're thinking about food and beverage. Okay? Next one. Again, you just want to sit and chill, right? Just want to watch. You want to binge watch Ozark, right? You don't want to get up. Okay, no problem. Talk to Alexa. Open the skill. In fact, you don't even have to pull out your wallet because we were the first brand to connect with Amazon Pay. So now you can just order your favorite Jack Daniel's ribs, sitting on your couch. Alexa will ask you whether you want to pay by credit card or your Amazon Pay account. Just say Amazon Pay, and guess what? 20 minutes later, you're enjoying Jack Daniel's ribs, and you literally did the most lazy thing you could do, right? You didn't even have to pull your wallet out, okay? But we were there. We made it easy. We made it frictionless. We made it convenient through the use of technology. Similarly, our friends at Google, we do the same thing. And then we do a lot of things with both chat and voice around our bots. So we have lots of bots, right? You can talk to us on Facebook, you can talk to us on Twitter, you can talk to us on Kik, you can talk to us on, again, all the voice-enabled devices. And I'm sorry to break it to you, but you're not talking to a human. Unless you get really complicated and you become high maintenance, and then I make you talk to a human. But if you're just normally talking about creating an order, making a reservation, wondering if you have gluten-free menus, wondering what happy hour it is, asking if even what our favorite drink is, that's all an AI-powered bot. And the AI learns, and has been learning, exactly how to converse, which is interesting for us on different platforms. Right? So even on the text platforms, how you converse with someone on Twitter, very different than how you converse with a Facebook guest. Very different. Right? But the bot learns. Learns how to converse, learns how to be what I'll call human-like, and very believable in terms of answering and engaging with our guests on those platforms. Back to the, I can now do this at scale. I don't have thousands of people sitting behind computer screens. Right? My social media team takes care of higher, bigger issues. All the thousands of things that happen each week in terms of, can I order, make a reservation, do you have gluten-free menus, all those things that we get. Where's the closest Fridays? Those are all AI-powered bots. Similarly, we do that on the voice platforms as well. Voice, completely different animal. Teaching the bots how to talk versus how to type, very different. Because people meander when they talk. I don't know if you've all noticed. When you type stuff, you're very quick. Very short, to the point, you just want to move. When people talk to things, well, it's kind of sunny outside. What do you think I should have? And do you have any frozen drinks? Well, how about fries too? And oh my God, our bots were going crazy, right? They couldn't deal with that to start, right? But then they learn, right? And you give them guidelines and they learn and they get better. And they have to speak. The most fun our team had was teaching the bots to talk in our brand voice. They can't talk to something mechanical, right? They have to talk to something that's a little irreverent, a little fun, a little different. That's Fridays, right? So we had to teach these bots how to actually talk in our brand voice as well, which is still a learning process, to be honest with you. But we have a lot of fun with it, and they're basically babies, right? I mean, you're teaching bots; you are teaching them from the ground up, and. But it's a process that they learn, right? Because they learn that if they said something wrong, and the guest now says, I didn't get it, I need to talk to somebody, something went off the rails, right? That interaction didn't go well. But if they have an interaction and something happened that we wanted, someone made a reservation, someone ordered, someone took the upsell recommendation and added dessert, something went right. We know it, the bot knows it, it knows to do it again. Right? So it gets better at how it engages. But that's all part of the journey. So, and sometimes you just talk to people that just always, want a very fast interaction. You have to be able to engage with that person in a very different way. So, Josh lives in Buffalo, New York. And Josh ordered the Cajun shrimp and chicken pasta from us 142 times last year. I can't make this shit up. This is one guy who ordered the same dish 142 times. Now, I guess you work out the math, that's 3 times a week. Which again is not horrible. It's not like 7 times a week. He really likes this dish, right? So his interactions with us, very personal, very engaged. Interestingly enough, we have 7 million loyalty members. right? These are people that true Fridays fans. They get their points. They're always engaged with us. They're loyal. 7 million people. This guy's not one of them. No, we've offered. We've said, you get all these perks. Nope. I just want this, and I want to make it easy, and I just want it when I want it, and you guys engage with me, and you make it easy for me to order, and I love it. I don't need to be a loyalty member. He's our most loyal member, right? There's no one more loyal than Josh, right? But it's, again, how do we use technology to engage with this individual, with this guest, in a way that makes sense for him, right? This is not a one-size-fits-all. We have guests all the way from order from us one time a year to Josh. So, the other way we use data, and this is really where the AI and the analytics come into play, is we know a lot about you when you order from us. And, you know, I'll give you, we walk the line between creepy and cool. We do. Because my team can come to me and say, you will not believe what Susan did yesterday. Right? Talking about an individual guest. And I'm like, I don't care what Susan did yesterday. Did she, you know, just go do your work, right? But the analytics, like, looks at, these are someone's orders over time. Right? And they're like, okay, this looks random. Lots of different things. But then the data starts drawing out, well, can I learn anything from this? And if you look at some of them, there are certain patterns that would tend to say around 6 o'clock on a Friday, this person really likes chicken. Okay? And always about the same time on these Fridays. Right? And so the tool identifies this. No one's sitting behind figuring this out. The tool says, okay, let's try something with this guest. So you can see, right, boneless wings, Fridays around 6. So the following Friday, right before 6, I send this individual a very specific message. Targeted, relevant. I fill their basket with boneless wings and what I think they're going to want, and I say, click here, and it'll be ready to go. It's the creepy versus cool, right? So some people are like, whoa. No. Right? First time I did this, 10,000 people. 10,000 people, individual, AI-driven content messages. Well, let's do a little game. By show of hands, how many think, now this is 10,000 people, first use case, how many think 20%, 2,000 said yes, ordered? How many think that many? No one thinks 20%. Oh, I'm going to go higher, yeah. Oh, you're waiting, I got it. How many think, well, keep your hands up. If you think it's 20% or higher, let's see the room. All right, 40%. Any hands dropping? 60%. Any hands dropping? How about 70%? How about 76%? Now, the beauty of, at first I thought my team was lying to me, so they had to show me the data. 76% of the people said, yes, you're right, I want those wings. Order them. I'm going to come get them. The beauty of this, now you imagine, I told you about those 7 million loyalty members that we've been sending emails to forever, messages. A big trigger for loyalty members is discounting. Right? I'm a loyalty member, I'm giving you my business, you're going to give me something in return. Right? Most loyalty programs are discount driven. Right? All of you Starbucks loyalty members, you go because you want to get your stars and get a free drink. Right? It's discount driven. You get something, you get a perk. I didn't send a discount with this. And I got 76% of the people say yes. 0 discount. I made it easy, I made it convenient, I made it timely, and I made it relevant. Right? When you have those things, I don't need to give a discount. You've created the connection that I'm looking for. You know me enough to know that this is what I want right now at this time. That's the power of the technology we've employed, right? I'm now able to do this at scale. I can do this with millions of people, not 10,000, right? That creates a meaningful change in how we interact and engage with our guests. So, what's it done? Well, good things, right? We've kind of increased all the metrics we look at, back to that my initial thing around ROI. We've engaged now with people 500% more. We've doubled our off-premise business in 12 months, which is on the order of $150 million, so not a small, insignificant amount of money. Our open rates, right? People actually now, we're relevant. They open up the messages we send to them. And the click-through rates, right? Actually ordering through, massive, right? Yes, I've dropped from the 76%, but I'm dealing with millions of people now. Still a good number. And so this connection, this ROI to that investment we made in these technologies was not a technology play again, it was a business play. These are changing the rules and how we interact and how we drive business for the brand in a meaningful way. So, I also want to touch upon, we also utilize AI inside our restaurants. Not a lot of people know about this because the sexy thing is obviously how to use AI with the marketing and the engagement and sales. But AI for us is just as important inside our restaurants. If you think about a general manager who's trying to run a restaurant, all the things they've got to deal with, right? They got to schedule, they got to order, they got to worry about their teams, they got to worry about fraud, they got to worry about inventory, they got to worry about all these things. So every day they were spending 2 to 3 hours in the back office behind a computer doing all these things. Right? Well, where do I want my general managers to be? Walking around tables. Right? I want them engaging with my guests. I want them engaging with my team members, making them better, servers and bartenders and bussers. Right? They were spending a quarter of their shift in the back office not talking to anybody. Right? So we created, basically, I call it their angel on their shoulder. It's an AI-powered digital assistant. The AI learns how to run the most efficient, not a restaurant, that restaurant. Learns the traffic patterns, learns the menu mix, learns the capabilities of the staff, learns how and where product is coming from, and then suggests in real time when to make certain decisions. Recommends, right? So I want my general managers to have the ability to make calls based on their experience, but recommends the best decision in each area at the right time. Well, what happened was the restaurants actually became more efficient, right? Human error always leads to inefficiency, right? So that AI tool was able to create efficiencies that even some of our most experienced GMs didn't know about, really helped the junior GMs, right? The folks that are just starting in their career, get better really quickly. Similarly, one of the pieces that we weren't expecting was our retention rates from our team went up. Because the general managers got to spend more time on the floor, actually working with the team, right? Making them better. And so the team members actually had better job satisfaction. They wanted to stay. And if anyone knows the turnover in restaurants, it's crazy, right? It's like retail, right? Getting a 20% improvement in retention is crazy good. Because again, the team members felt the general managers being more available, more working with them, more focused on helping them in their career. So side benefit, above and beyond any of the profitability metrics you look at, utilizing AI for good, right? We're not going to ever utilize AI to replace people. You'll never see holographic servers in our restaurants. We're a people business, right? Our interaction is still back to 1965, bartender, patron, having a discussion across the bar. That will never change. But making that interaction better through technology is where we're headed, which is where we are headed. How do we bring that restaurant experience? How do we bring the technology now that creates these personalized experiences into the restaurants, right? So we've done a lot with off-premise, wherever people are, sitting in cars, sitting at home, sitting wherever. But how do I create that experience, that personalized touch something unique inside my four walls as well. So we're still piloting this, but I'm giving people sneak previews. This is one example, Flanagan. It is an AI-powered virtual bartender. Yes, it's not the picture on the left. So AI, for us, again, creates differentiation, creates uniqueness, creates doing something different and personalized, remember, at scale. So imagine a tool where a guest goes up to the bar and doesn't know what they want to drink, right? Almost 40% of our guests, when they get to the bar, don't know what they're going to have. Don't know, right? Me personally, old-fashioned all the time. But a lot of guests don't know what they're going to go and get, right? Sometimes they ask, well, what's on the special? They'll ask the bartender, what do you recommend? Right? Well, what is that person having down the bar? That looks good. Right? Those are all ways we think about what we're going to get for a drink, right? Well, we're trying to make it a little easier and a little different. So we started thinking, like, what are some of the cool things we've heard when you go into a bar, right? Well, there's always the secret menu, right? The menu that's not posted anywhere. If you know about the drink, this bartender makes it, go ask for the secret menu. Like, oh, that's kind of cool. But what if we took it a step further? And instead of a secret menu, we made it your menu. And your menu, and your menu, and your menu. Each of you has your own menu. A unique drink just for you, just that night, just at Fridays. What would that look like? Would that be different? Would that be personalized? Would that create engagement? We thought we'd try it. So we created an AI virtual bartender. Who can tell me why we codenamed it Flanagan? Yes?
Tom Cruise in Cocktail.
Second chicken sandwich of the day for you. Very nice. Very good. Yes, Tom Cruise in Cocktail, the guy that does the flair, modeled after a TGI Friday's bartender. Right? That's Flanagan. So what does Flanagan do? Well, like any good bartender, he's going to ask you why you're there. Right? Are you there to party? Are you here to romance? Going back to our founder? Are you here for business? Right? Why are you here tonight? Well, so you select. Then, ask if you have any allergies. We don't want to kill you. Right? So are you allergic to anything? They put shellfish on. I was unclear about that for a drink, but it's on there. Then it asks you, and these things scroll. I couldn't do it on the screen, but they scroll. There's like hundreds of choices. You can pick the things you like. I like pomegranate and mint and cardamom. Okay, select what you like. And then you got to name it, of course, right? And I'm not allowing open text boxes, but you can scroll and you can select a couple different choices from hundreds of options. And then the AI goes to work. Right? It looks through every recipe of every taste and profile combination that's ever been done and creates from your taste profiles, given the mood you're in, given what you might have to order, a personalized drink just for you, just that night, just at our bar. So I have tried the Hyper Nutmeg Vodka Lollygagger, and I will tell you it's a very good drink. So then this specific recipe goes to our bartender, comes up on their screen behind the bar. They create the drink, hand it to the guest. Guest tries it. They can rate it, love it to puking. They can post about it. They can say, come tonight and try Sherif's drink. It's right here tonight, only mine. Bartender's making it. It's awesome. One of a kind. Just at us, just at Fridays. Personal. Right? So this did a couple things for us. One is, imagine you're going through that process and you're picking things and you try this drink and it's pretty darn good. What's the thing you want to do right away after you're done, or even midway through? You want to play around with it again, right? You want to say, well, what if I picked grapefruit and blackberry versus pomegranate and honey? What would come out? So it creates a second drink. So we had over 50% of the people that tried the first drink ordered a second drink, which is enormous. It's huge, right? Again, I told you about 90% margin products we like to sell. Drinks is one of them, right? So trial went way up. Second drinks went way up. Then I got the bartenders are going to hate this. No bartender, anyone's bartendered growing up, no bartender likes making 50 Long Island iced teas just every night, right? That kind of gets monotonous and not really being a bartender, right? You're kind of a mixer at that point. They got to make one-of-a-kind drinks that no one's ever made before, right? Bartenders loved it. Plus, they looked like heroes in front of the consumers, right? Our guests were like, holy cow, you just made that drink for me, right? Their tips went up, right? Bartenders loved it. Guests loved it. We made more money. Again, clicking all 3 boxes through the use of the technology, right? So this, again, we're piloting it. Still some bugs we have to break out. But it's the connection point that you really need to have, again, between these AI tools from a guest perspective that also is operationally capable of being, you can pull it off, right? I mean, we could theoretically use the same technology to create one-of-a-kind meals for everyone as you walked in. My chef team would kill me, right? Think about trying to prep for one-of-a-kind meals, right? But this we can pull off, right? We kind of limit the AI to the 50 most likely spices, the 50 most likely, different combinations, the juices. We have all the alcohol programmed in, and then we let the AI tool go crazy, right? Fun, right? Utilizing technology to sell more alcohol, no better use case in the world. So, before we open up for questions, I have about 10 minutes left. Our lessons learned, right? And this is so far, because we're still in the journey. You're never really done with any of these things when you talk about transformation, digital or AI. And so for us, any things that I would impart is that there is no award for speed, right? These things are complex. They take a lot of energy. They take a lot of trial and error. You need time to learn. You need time to learn. The organization needs time to learn. The technology needs time to learn. Right? The ability for everything to be in lockstep is critical to ensure the success of these efforts. Second one is don't be the smartest person in the room. There's so many great things happening right now in this space, and different groups of people and different organizations and startups, 2 guys in a garage, that you really have to embrace a little bit more risk. You have to really embrace that you're not going to know all the answers when you start out, and that you're going to have to figure things out as you go down the path. But that's part of the fun. That's part of the things that my team has told me has been the most fun of working on this is we didn't know where we were going to end up when we started, right? But we had smart people in the room, smart people that were bouncing ideas off each other, and you get there together. And I'm a big fan of number 3 here, which is you can't do anything just because it sounds cool. You can't do anything just because it's the latest technology. That will kill you. You have to start with a business need, and for us, whether you're in a B2C or a B2B, you have to start with whatever your customers' thought, journey, requirements, needs are, and work back from there. Because if you don't meet those, the technology is just interesting, but doesn't drive a real business result, and you'll never be able to continue on your journey. The people that fund it are not, at least in my company, are not interested in PR cool. They're interested in those metrics I showed you earlier. And I have franchise partners, right, that I have to convince that we're going to do this. And so, telling someone that's been in the restaurant business for 40 years, we're going to do something called AI, and trust me, it's going to be fine, right? They're like looking at you like you have 3 heads, right? But if I go to that individual and say, I just grew your off-premise business by 200%, okay, keep going, right? It's a different conversation that you can have when you have the metrics and the ROI on your favor. So with that, I appreciate you taking the time to listen to the Friday story. Again, this is everything that I get to talk about up here is just due to the outstanding work of the men and women back at the TGI Friday's headquarters, and I'm just here representing them. So thanks again for allowing me to speak.
We are going to do some Q&A. I have the first question I'm asking on behalf of my friend Rod here. Is Flanagan's is he operational over there at the Addison location?
He is not. They're not in Texas yet. So we've spread them out to some of the bigger other cities first. I'm sorry, but if you're traveling in Chicago or Boston or LA, you may run into Flanagan. The plan is later this year we're going to get Flanagan rolled out to the rest of the system.
So you guys have used as a local tech company Ziosk in some of your locations. How does will it go all mobile with that, or will you still use other tabletop devices to drive interaction?
Yeah, we're actually not using Ziosk here.
Okay.
That's one of our competitors you've been in. But we want to, we still feel very strongly about that guest and team member interaction. And we feel very strongly that everyone walks around, where is it? Where's my phone? With one of these. This is everyone's personal Ziosk, right? And so all those things I want you to do, reorder, pay at the table, I want you to do it on your own device. You're already walking in with it. You already know how to use it. This is the best device that I can use because it's yours.
Hi, Sherif. Well, number one, thanks again. Being on the consultant side is not very often that I'm as heavily intimidated by somebody on the other side of the fence. So I have two questions. Number one is, how long did it take you to go from the inception of this idea to million out of 9?
Yeah, so we started this journey basically at the end of 2016. Did most of the heavy lifting because obviously the thing you don't see is all the data that's required to do all of this. So that took us a lot of time to connect the dots, get all our data, put our data lakes together, so to speak, which was really the first half of 2017. And then really started in earnest, basically all the efforts and initiatives that got us into really full to bright start of 2018. And so then you see most of the results have been the last 12 months.
Thank you. And my second question was, if you were to start doing this again today, what is one thing that, looking back, you would do completely different today to kind of help you achieve some higher ratios on some of these KPIs?
I would ask my board for double the money. In all seriousness, there's always more to do, right? And so the ability to prioritize and pick and choose what you believe at that time is going to bear the most fruit is some of the toughest decisions you have to make, because we hold a quarterly Shark Tank at Fridays that I put in place, and so I bring in 8 startups every quarter. Some are in Series A funding, some are just still in stealth mode, and these 8 groups that each time 8 different groups come in have some amazing cool stuff they talk about, right? And I want to do all 8 every quarter. My team would kill me, but I love everything they're talking about. But it's picking and choosing and trying to make that decision is hard. But that's the thing. I mean, that's really what separates, I think, what you have to do as kind of leaders of these types of initiatives is really be able to make strategic bets and really be able to understand where you're putting that next dollar, because it really can sway you one way or another.
I have 2 questions. So first of all, thank you so much. Great
Thanks.
presentation. And
Thank you.
It was fun.
Thank you.
Does not happen too often.
Okay, good. We're Fridays.
So 2 questions. First of all, before you had the metrics that you talked about with the AI, I mean, great numbers, but before you had them, how did you really push it through the company? Because it must have sounded crazy.
It did, yeah. And so the first thing we started with is just pure engagement, right? We was like, if we can just have people, because we started with the bots, which is the easiest way to start with AI, just talk to people with AI-powered bots. And really just said, give us a use case. We'll start just on Facebook, and we'll just start with this market. And if we get to this level, let us do another market. If we get to this level, let us go to Twitter, right? And so it was taking baby steps and just showing engagement first, even before revenue, that really made kind of those initial, I would say, allowed us to get further down the path. And then you do stuff like the 10,000 use case on an actual order content, and then that kind of opened the floodgates. People like, okay, this is not vapor anymore, this is real, drives real revenue, And then that really, again, opens the ability for people to allow you to go the next step.
And would you say now Fridays is a tech company?
I would hope others would say that, that we are an innovative company that happens to sell beer and ribs.
Thank you for this great presentation.
Thanks.
A couple of questions on the AI chatbot pieces of it. A quick plug to UTD. So we're a startup mobile and web company, and we're engaging with UT Design on a couple of projects which involve AI. So I'm curious to know your experience with the chatbot, both the text and the voice, in terms of what are they in-app chatbot engagements that you're doing, or are they extending to the other social media platforms? That's number one, both on the text and the voice. And number two is, what's the underlying platform? Are you using open source technologies, or are you using certain proprietary?
Yeah, so all our bots are on other platforms. We don't force people to come to our, because that's not just where people are, right? You saw by show of hands. But everyone interacts with Twitter and Facebook. Everyone interacts. Most of you probably have some sort of voice-activated device in your home or office right now. So we needed to be, that was a strategic decision. We need to be where our guests are, not force them to be where we are, right? So that was point one. We've had pretty good success. So all our bots, again, both on the social platforms as well as the voice-activated as well as OnStar, we worked with a group out of Austin. They were called Conversible and Hypergiant. And so they power all of our AI and bot technology, proprietary tools for us, and allow us to do some of the fun things that you saw.
So it's not open source proprietary, developed just for you guys?
Just for us, my friend. I don't want those guys at Applebee's stealing my stuff. Yes.
Great presentation. The question I have is about staying on the cool side of the line between cool and creepy. How do you manage to do that? From a mindset of, Google used to have a motto of don't be evil. They got rid of the motto and
They're evil.
became evil.
Yes,
So
yeah.
Is it more of a cultural thing? How do you make sure that your team stays on that cool side?
Yeah, we let the consumer guide us a lot, to be honest with you. So there'll be certain things, and we do a lot of testing, right, before we do any kind of rollouts. And so what we'll do is we'll try certain things where we get very personalized in terms of the content and things, and we kind of see what people's reactions are, right? If you can get, most people are open to it, see that the value, they'll allow you to be cool. We tested certain things, I'll tell you, that probably crossed the line a little bit in terms of creepy, right? So we tried in a couple restaurants putting a wearable in my hostess's ear. And so by your cell phone, if we knew who you are, a loyalty member, somehow we knew something about you, the host or hostess would greet you by name. You've never met that host or hostess before, but she greeted you by name. That turned some people off. I'll be honest. It was a little creepy. So we dial back on certain things, right? We get a lot. We test the heck out of stuff, and certain things where, again, we're trying to get up to that line where, when people, I go back to that analogy, and I did this interview back for the Wall Street Journal a while ago, where they said, what are you trying to get to? And I'm like, well, for any people that remember the movie Cheers, and Norm walks in, and everyone says, Norm, and his drink's waiting for him, his spot at the bar. I want to be that bar for every Norm out there, right? And certain people don't want that. And that's fine. I won't offer that to you. But other people do. There's that sense of comfort, that sense of, this is not a chain restaurant. This is my Fridays. That's my chair. And they know who I am, right? And so even if you don't go every day like Norm did to Cheers, to be able to have that experience is something we're trying to strive to, but we don't want to cross the line. So, simply, we test a lot of stuff. Some stuff crosses the line, and our guests tell us that, and we back off. Data protection, data privacy is a big deal, right? What GDPR is happening in Europe. we had to do a lot of different things for our European restaurants. You know, California is starting that right now. I see that spreading across the country in the next several, you know, I would say years, but it's probably going to be less than 24 months. There's going to be some sort of GDPR-esque thing in the United States. We have to be on top of that. We have to understand how we interact with our guests and what's again up to that line without crossing it, and that's an everyday endeavor to make sure we're not doing it. But yes, we're trying not to be evil. We're trying to make people drunk for goodness.
Hi. Excuse me. So that sounds like a 2.5 year project so far, as you said, from 2016. Was it the case where you had iterations? Did you start with the end in mind, or did it sort of grow based on new things? And then did something happen in 2016 that you guys felt, hey, we need to do something very different, or it just sort of developed?
Yeah, it was, I wouldn't say we had the full end in mind, but again, I think under this mantra of we need to reconnect with our guests in a different way. It was kind of the driving force, right? I mean, casual dining overall had been really taking a hit in the kind of 2015, 2016. You know, fast casual was really making a play. People were thinking of chain restaurants as old and tired, and it's kind of my father's place to go. And so we felt we needed to really reset when people think about Fridays, what they think about. We need to reset, again, from a consumer perspective, how they interact. And with the growth of technology, that interaction just normally lends itself to attracting a younger guest, right? We have, in our restaurants, we're about 35% or so that's come into our restaurants that are considered millennial or younger. For our digital engagement and products, that's 60%. Is 35 or younger. So it's definitely attracting and engaging a younger demographic, which was important to us. And yeah, I mean, there was a lot of curves in the journey, obviously, over the 2.5 years. But I think we always try to keep that mindset, which is connecting with a guest in a different way, not your father's Friday, really try to be different and be different, not just in terms of the messaging, but in the execution as well. The experience that we want a guest to have, to be physically and visually different, and that you can't get anywhere else, right? I mean, I make fun of my friends at Applebee's and Olive Garden and Chili's, but everyone's trying to do this, right? Everyone's trying to reinvent themselves from a digital perspective. Our challenge, everyone's challenge, is staying a step ahead. How do you continue to innovate? How do you continue to create a differing reason for guests to drive by someone else, think of you first? You know, we start with 0 guests every day when we open up the door. We have to earn the right for every guest, every day in every restaurant. That's what this is all about.